the next program starting from next Wednesday.
Right. And the criteria is one is attendance, right? And another is project.
Yeah, if they complete the project, then you can recommend, and then we can do we can add that name into that list. Yeah.
So here's my question to you: do we have any timelines for those project completion dates? So let's assume next week, or probably I'm not sure. I just want to know from you, what is the timeline for project submission?
From my view, there's no timeline. It's up to you to set the timeline. And for us, from the organizing point of view, if you tell us the name which is not in the list, Nagendra will add that, and he will prepare the certificate to send it out to that person, right? Whenever he completes. And it's totally up to you to kind of decide the timeline and recommend additional people who would get certificate because of the completion of the project.
So what I will do is I'll keep it open till the finish of next session, right? So till that time, anyone who can submit the project by even looking at the videos, right? Whatever is hosted on YouTube, if they're able to submit the project, then probably that's the timeline I will fix. So once the next framework till those sessions are running, I will accept. If not, then after that, those 6 sessions, I will not be accepting anything from Tegran.
Got it. And I'm just noticing, Josiana and Joy, you both have not joined the meeting after logging into the Teams, right? It looks like you directly joined clicking the link without joining into the Teams. All right, Sumit, so I'll let you to take the flow, and I'll wait for you to give me the floor, and then Nagendra and me will, announce a couple of things that I kind of told you.
What's the date? So is it by next Wednesday?
On what?
To complete the project.
So no, it's not next Wednesday. It's going to be till the next completion of the next next module, right? So it's going to be next week, next 6 weeks.
Okay.
Right. We don't want to hurry anything. It's just that people might not have time to work on the projects, and they might be busy with the work. So we want to give them enough time so that they can, even if they have not attended the sessions, they can look at the videos and then they can work on the projects, right?
Yeah, so I'm going through the videos right from the beginning. So yeah.
Right. So we are giving enough time. I think 6 weeks is more than enough.
Yes. Thank you.
For the project.
And Shanti, I can tell you, if you continue to attend our programs, you will become in next 1 or 2 years, you will become familiar with all the tools that are out there for the test automation in this particular track, right? Okay. So this Wednesday will keep on continuing year after year to make sure that we help you guys to continuously learn and become expert on this particular domain.
Yeah. Today you are starting Selenium, right?
Not today.
Not today? Okay. So it's just a Q&A today?
So today is mostly the project review day, and any question and answer Q&A that we will have, we'll have those answered based on, if you have any questions, not even related to this particular framework, right? Anything related to API testing, or how projects are implemented in enterprise, or any questions regarding Tavern, or how to build your own APIs, and how to host it on any CICD tool questions, or any particular question on hosting your apps on cloud, right? So I'm open to any question that you have on your mind at this point. But my primary objective will be to review some of the project code that people have written. And even if it is not completed yet, I can still go through and review and give a little pointers on how to go about creating those frameworks for your own company or for your own testing purposes.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Yes.
So
So
Before
you
I,
said
yeah, go ahead.
okay. So you said in the I mean the steps for the project in the using Tavern framework, you said that we can create a pipeline in any CI/CD tool. You mean other you're asking us we can use other than Jenkins or
Yeah. So there are a couple of CI/CD tools that really have good share in the market. For like Jenkins take the top spot
okay.
in CI/CD tools. You can use Bamboo. You can use uh, Travis CI. All these three tools are great CI/CD tools, right? So
Bamboo
you can use
and
any of them.
what's the other one? Bamboo and
And Travis CI. So
Travis.
Bamboo is the CI/CD tool of choice for anyone who is working in the Atlassian ecospace, right? It is a paid tool.
Okay.
Jenkins is free; it's open
Yeah.
source. But
Yeah.
Bamboo does come with managed services, right? So you don't have to manage all those updates in Jenkins,
Yeah,
all those
I
plugins in Jenkins.
have an idea on Jenkins. I have worked not a great work experience, but I used Jenkins, like building
Right.
the all those scripts
Right.
and
So for
data.
Jenkins, any enterprise that you work in, there will be a specific person allocated on that Jenkins workspace, right? Updating that
Yes.
particular Jenkins server and installing all
Yeah.
the all the plugins associated and
Yes.
updating those plugins as well, right?
Yeah.
Uh, there's a full-time person who needs to be there with Jenkins. With Bamboo, that's not the case. It's ready. It's updated automatically. All the plugins get
Yeah.
installed by Atlassian itself. And then we have Travis CI, which a lot of people use on the GitHub, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does create direct GitHub. So if you look at all many open source projects, they're on GitHub specifically, they're all using Travis.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um. Hello. Hello.
We can hear you, Shanti. Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah, looks like Sumit has some problem.
Yeah, he'll come back.
Hello.
Hello, yeah, we are still here. I think we lost Sumit. Let me check.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Sumit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now GitHub has also come up with its own CI/CD tool called GitHub Actions. So it's
Okay.
basically an integration inside GitHub itself. So
Okay. Okay. Okay.
so you can use any of these pipelines to basically the idea is to use any pipeline where you can plug into your existing dev infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
Or if not dev, then at least dev should be able to run those tests using just click of a button. They don't. You don't want any dev or operation person to get involved in inside the testing code, right? Where
Mm.
then it becomes really difficult for them to actually execute and maintain those tests, right? So idea is just to give them the execution power, right? Or or if you want to schedule it, right? Let's say you're running a nightly regression where you run some test every night. How do you
Yeah.
do that? You don't want to go into the system and
Yeah. It's a scheduling automatic.
right. Exactly. And a lot of things, right? So uh,
Yes.
notification, very important, right?
Yes.
So it will automatically send you notification in case of
Yes.
failure, right?
Yes.
For me, when I run the tests, if those tests fail, it directly goes after 6 o'clock. They directly go over to PagerDuty alert, right?
Okay.
saying that these tests have failed, right? And those are the smoke tests then that run every 5 minutes in production.
Okay. Yeah.
So as to monitor those environments, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of benefit that these are the quick wins that will come out when you implement something like that, right?
Yes.
And it will be visible across the organization. You will be able to show the value of these tests across the organization, because when it goes down, it sends a PagerDuty alert and everyone knows that it's because of these tests that are running, right?
Yes.
So it gives high visibility in any organization and also benefits, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes monitoring tool, so operations team get a lot of notifications from the monitoring tools, right?
Yeah.
But those are server monitoring tools. If you don't, so let's assume after 6 o'clock, no one was working on your application, but 7 o'clock, a user comes on your application and he faces an issue, right? Now
Yeah.
he will raise a request,
Yeah.
right? But till from 6 to 7, there was no request that has been sent to that application, right? Or a particular request that has not been sent. And monitoring tools don't send those requests. They monitor those requests, right?
Yes.
So the testing infrastructure helps you. So if my smoke tests are running every 5 minutes, 6:05, I will get to know that my application has failed. And before the user comes in, I'm giving an immediate feedback to the developer or to the operation saying our application is down.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So let's start with Q&A and then we'll go to the project review. So any other questions on API testing or Tevrin framework, or in particular, any questions that you have on your mind right now, you can ask me.
Hello, Sumit. I have one question.
Sure.
Yeah, this is Pankaj. What is the most complex API that you work on? Can you give us example?
So the most complex APIs that you will get will be that I have worked on, which were more complex, were the integration of multiple systems, right? The microservices architecture, because you need one. So you need to send one request to one API, get the response from there, go to a different API, put the response that you have received in that API, and then get the answers from there, and then multiple authentication that you need to do. Uh, Apart from that, because you have to then get the session tokens, the bearer tokens, a lot relies on the complicated structure, relies on what you are trying to do, right? Uh, I'll tell you a complex scenario where, let's say Uber, right? Uber is a complex scenario because then you're sending on a second basis, you're sending the geolocation of some driver, right?
Yeah.
When you're trying to test that, how will you simulate that, right? That's a very difficult thing to do, because that input and output, and then once your location is decided, then you have to change routes to different parameters, saying my passenger changed the destination midpoint, right? And then calculate, revise the fare, right? Uber is a really complex system, right? Because a lot of changes that can happen in between, right? And real-time calculation of routes, right? And then at what point the geolocation of the driver, at what point it is. So I'm not saying that the application is complex, but testing of this application becomes, or APIs become really complex, because then you have to create a system that can simulate geolocation, that can simulate your routes, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will be very hard for you to test from the coverage perspective that you are covering everything on that API, right? So those kind of scenarios are there, and a lot. And whenever we talk about APIs in the real world, you will find them more complex in nature because of multiple systems integrated to that API. Right? So
Yeah.
it's the API service to API service interaction that is more complex in terms of how do you test them, right? So if I talk about let's say a BI tool, right? Have you ever worked on any Power BI or any other uh, Tableau or any other tools like that? Now, those does have an open API, but then the data volume is so huge that you cannot test everything, right? Now, those kind of APIs that run large data sets, right? That becomes, again, really, really complex in nature in terms of, because then you have to test the network speeds. You have to simulate the network speeds because you are sending a large amount of data to calculate the network speed. You have to calculate how much data that you are going to fetch, right? And then you have browser limitations, right? So you need to consider those limitations as well. So uh, it's more likely any product that is there in the market, which has high availability and high and more real time. They are the more complex APIs to work on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Okay.
can
Yep. Someone was saying something.
yeah, Sumit, this is me, Navina. Yeah, actually, currently in our organization, we just started migrating from the microservice architecture, where we are planning to do same say API talking. But currently, we are using the tools like Postman. At some point, we do the automation.
Mhm.
Probably we'll start. Good thing that I learned on the tavern. So probably I'll try to evaluate with the current APIs we try to introduce. Maybe good thing that you have pointed this API testing integration point, where probably I have to explore more on that with the tavern.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a very good if your project is getting initiated, right?
Yeah.
Tevran is a very good framework for doing POC because it ramps you up quickly and you can do it in an automated way. With Postman, you have to create a lot of requests manually, and then you can automate it further, no problem. But then it's hard to maintain those tests in terms of portability, right? Because then you have to create a test suite and then you have to port it over to other people and then they need license basically. It's not a free tool, right? When you try to do it manually, it is free, but when you try to create a framework on it, which you need a lot of features from Postman, then it becomes something that you have to pay for, right? Like the CICD tool integration, the sharing of test cases, those things becomes uh, a pro feature for Postman, right? So if you're
Yeah.
evaluating on the free uh, tool versions, Tavern is a great. One more tool that you can run for POC is Karate DSO. These two tools are basically capturing the market at this point on the open source framework for APIs.
Okay. Sure. Thank you, Sumit.
Hi Sumit, this is Joy. I am
Yeah.
trying to, I'm getting an error when I try to deploy Jenkins on the VM, I think. I just copy paste the code dump to my chat window here.
Yeah, let me see. Deployment fail at least one. See more.
But the VM is created. When I go take a look, I see that the VM is created.
Oh. VM has reported a failure when sending this change.
So I also created a new subscription to make sure it's nothing wrong with my subscription, and it's the same error on both subscriptions.
Mm. So what I see is the following signatures couldn't be verified because the public key is not available. So what kind of VM are you trying to create? Maybe the issue might be is with the kind of VM that you are selecting. Because what it's not able to do is it's not able to verify authenticity of that VM. So do you have, are you selecting the smallest?
So I think I selected D248, B248, the one that you showed on your video.
Did I shoot D2 or B2?
I selected B2, B for Bob.
Right. That shouldn't be a problem. This is mostly a problem for Azure. So do one thing, try changing the VM and then deploy it on that VM. I guess the image that your VM has, what operating system you're selecting? Are you selecting Jenkins on Ubuntu or any other operating system?
Jenkins on Ubuntu, the default.
Okay, so do one thing. If that one is not working, you can do two things. One, change the VM, and second, change the operating system.
Okay,
So
thank you.
try any combination from those, it should work. So try installing Jenkins on CentOS.
Okay, thank you.
Because this has nothing to do with you, because you cannot do anything in this. It's a likely Azure error. You do have to check if the resource group that you have is correct as well. And it has that permission to basically create those VMs, or you can do resource group. So everything that you are putting by default, just do a create new. So it doesn't use the existing ones. So what happens sometimes is you created a resource group for your other VM, and then you're selecting the same one here or any other parameter. You're selecting it here. It has limited permission only on that VM. So even if you're selecting it here, it will say it is not able to authorize this VM to deploy these softwares. So whatever you are creating, do a create new.
Okay, all right, I'll do that. Thank you very much.
Hi, Swami, this is Louis. Can I ask?
Yeah. Hey, Louis, how are you?
Very well, thank you. You did mention some limitations regarding Postman against Tavern. I was wondering, what about Rest Assured? Does it have the same limitation as compared to Tavern?
Now, Rest Assured. So Tavern and Karate DSL came after Rest Assured, right? Now, Rest Assured, you don't get a built-in JSON parsing, right? You have to parse the JSON in Java, and then you have to do manipulation on it. Rest Assured was very great, very good, till the point Tavern and Karate DSL came. Now, with Rest Assured, the boilerplate is huge. You can't just kick off or ramp up on a Rest Assured project in one day, right? You have to create a lot of boilerplate, a lot of functions in order to work with Rest Assured. And you have to write a lot of lines of code, right, in order to run a particular test. Now, those are not limitations, but this is how Rest Assured works, right? Till Tavern and Karate DSL was not there, market was all Rest Assured. Open source market on API was all Rest Assured. Since these two have come into the picture, people have moved away from Rest Assured. Reason being, first, a lot of boilerplate code, right? Second, a lot of lines of code that you need to write on Rest Assured. Third, there is no native JSON parsing. You have to parse all the JSON by yourself. So those are the three reasons why people are moving away from Rest Assured.
All right, thank you.
I wouldn't call them limitations for sure. Those are basically how Rest Assured was. Until Tavern and Karate DSL was not there, everyone was using Rest Assured. When I started working on the API testing, I started using Rest Assured. That was the first framework that was really good in terms of API testing and worked really well, very robust. But then it's not easy to maintain, right? And not easy to write new tests or ramp up on any testing. But do give a look to Tavern, and in the future sessions we will cover Karate DSL. There is these are the two most widely used frameworks in the market as of today. Any other questions?
One more.
Yeah, sure.
My question is about the project submission.
Mhm.
How important for you is to actually take a look at our CI pipeline in terms of am I allowed to create it locally or does it have to be in the cloud?
So the idea of putting it in a CI/CD pipeline is basically for you guys to learn how to put things in a CI/CD pipeline, right? Locally, Tavern is pretty easy to run, but then I want you to learn the whole end-to-end process of running those tests, right? So anyone can come in and execute those tests, right? And when you go in an enterprise world, no one runs anything locally, right? Uh, they all want the test to be scheduled or to be run with a commit, especially with the uh, invent of this DevOps culture, right? Everyone is trying to move to that culture. So if you already have that mindset of doing CI/CD, you can basically take advantage of any pipeline that is being built on API testing and plug your test in there, right? For you, the most important part is that from execution perspective, it's going to be really, really easy for you. And there are three advantages to it on running anything on CI/CD, right? So the first one is that you can schedule those tests and you can run based on triggers, different triggers, right? So one trigger point might be that developer is doing a commit. One trigger might be that at night, 7 o'clock, it should run. One trigger can be whenever you're making changes to these tests, it should run automatically, right? The second part is that the notification system, right? So everyone in your organization is aware of what tests are failing, right? You can either use Slack, you can use Microsoft Teams, or you can, if you want to go really basic, you will use email. But there is a way to send notification. You don't have to create that notification system in your code. And the third part is that you're basically making sure that the infrastructure that goes uh, with your testing is all built already and it's easy to scale. So tomorrow, let's say you're running 100 tests, your VM, your computer might not have that memory to run 100 tests in parallel, right? So if you have deployed it on Azure, then you can just resize Azure to a better RAM or better CPU, and you're good to go, right? You have no limitation from the infrastructure standpoint. So from the project perspective, uh, it is not important for me to look at the CI/CD infrastructure, but for me to make sure that you understand the concept of CI/CD, right? So that's the most important part.
So basically, I can choose if I can do the CI/CD pipeline on a local Jenkins or if
Correct.
I just submit it in some cloud.
Correct.
Because I do intend to use Jenkins. I was just thinking about using it locally, but yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. So it doesn't matter where you're hosting your Jenkins. It's just that you have the pipeline ready, and then you know about the plugins that needs to go with it, so that tomorrow, if someone asks you to deploy it on the cloud, you are aware of the steps that you're going to perform. So it really doesn't matter. I just need to make sure that the code is there, and also just from a screenshot or reporting perspective, just send me a screenshot saying that you ran it on Jenkins. That should be all.
Okay, great. Thanks.
And also one more great part about CI/CD is the audit system, right? So otherwise you have to create your own dashboards to create a historical test executions, right? With CI/CD tool, you don't need to do that. And you can do it, you can create dashboards in your CI/CD tool itself so that you can send the report directly from there to management or just send them the link, right? So from that way is also you. So basically, when you do CI/CD, you remove a lot of burden from your testing, right? And you focus just on creating the test. Uh, so the idea is everyone to ramp up really quickly on testing without thinking about infrastructure, reporting, notifications, or triggers, right? So these are the most four important parts of any framework that you need to build if you are not doing CI/CD. Then all these things will go into your framework on how will you do those things. So you're basically taking four of these four components out of the framework and utilizing CI/CD tool to give that to you. Awesome. Any other question? Just whatever comes in, on your mind at this point, I can answer. Might not be related to Tavern or API testing. In general questions also I can answer. So I don't, the reason is I don't want you guys to wait till the end of the next session to ask questions that is on your mind. So shoot over whatever you think you need clarification from testing standpoint or from uh, any other framework in general.
So, Sumit, what would be the common interview questions related to API testing?
So the common interview questions related to API testing will be mostly based on scenarios. So uh, uh, so the most important question that comes is on the authentication. So how do you authenticate using your APIs? How do you fetch the API data? Let's say, what is the process of getting those APIs to you for testing, right? So some dev might use Swagger to test or to create a documentation, right? If not, then you guys will be there from a standpoint of QA function to create those kind of documentations, right? Where you will basically tell this is the end point and this is the required format on how we should be receiving a particular response. And this is how we need to send requests. If those documentations developers are not creating, you're going to be really struggling to figure out what APIs to test, right? So those documentation might become important. So the interview question is, how do you test APIs and what is the process of testing API, right? So you will tell them that developers will create a documentation. If they don't create, then we have to go in. We have to go it in an agile way. This is how we create our testing. And then how do you figure out what responses? Let's say there is no documentation. The developer team are creating those APIs. How do you figure out what to test? Then you can either say that you look at how you look at the code and you figure out what APIs that you need to test. The second answer will be basically to tell that we directly go to the application. We use a tool which basically capture request and response. We perform some action. We capture those request and response, and then we create our test based on those requests and responses. And we figure out how what's the format of the response that is coming, and then we can take it further from there, right? So there are a lot of interview questions on how do you make sure your API testing is highly available, right? And then you can talk about your CI/CD pipelines and your trigger points. There can be questions on basically how do you test microservices, right? What are the challenges that you face when you test microservices? So you can talk about that. Also, they will be asking about uh, mostly about what framework do you use to test API? And then you can talk about a couple of frameworks that you're working. Always remember, then when you're asked about uh, doing some testing, you need to show that you have worked on the same functionality or same kind of testing with multiple tool sets. That makes you kind of uh, a person that knows really good about API. So you can talk about that you worked on Rest Assured, you talk about Postman, and then you talk about Tavern, and then the follow-up question will on that will be uh, what are the major differences between these frameworks, and how what do you recommend as a testing framework? And then they will talk about your API testing process, right? Do you do agile? Do you do on need basis, or uh, do you do in dev or prod environment? So there will be a lot of questions that will be related to testing in general, but then they will tie it back to API.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. And does it make any difference doing API testing if the team is following a framework like Agile or Cucumber or any other framework?
So it all depends upon what dev is doing, right? You basically select your framework. So it's easier for your dev to understand that framework, right? If your dev is not is following Cucumber and they're not following it on Python, you anyways cannot utilize that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if your API or your developers are working in Python, right, then you can basically start from the unit testing phase itself till the integration phase, right? And then you can embed the code within their code base, right? And if they're, let's say, using a front end application like Angular and making calls from there, and then they have a backend API, let's say written in Rust or Java or any other language, then you give them freedom to create an execution platform where they can execute it by themselves. It can either be in a CICD tool, or you give them create a command on your server and give it to them and say, if you want to run these tests anytime, you can run this command and your test will be executed and it will give you the notification, right? So there are multiple ways in which you can get started, but make sure that your dev is comfortable with whatever you're doing and they're aware of the framework and uh, and the execution that you can do, because you don't want. So the idea is for any kind of framework or testing uh, tool, right, to keep you detached from that framework or tool. So why you create a framework is basically you don't want to take ownership for the execution, right? The ownership lies either with the tool, either it can be CI/CD tool, it can be developers, or it can be any other support or operations people, right?
Mm-hmm.
The idea is that you will be the creator of that framework and you will be maintaining that framework. So any issues that arise out of those executions, you will be able to fix it. But the idea of framework is to keep you separate from the dependency of the framework, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not the dependency of the framework, but the dependency of execution. So basically telling everyone you can go ahead and execute, right? You created this, you're giving them a platform where all become power users and they execute it, right? But anything that goes wrong with the framework, then you will pitch in and come and fix those issues.
Okay. And in one of my projects, the developers were using Fiddler and Swagger, I think.
Right. So Fiddler is basically, that's what I explained before, right? So Fiddler basically captures your request and response, right? So if you're not aware of what APIs are there, you can basically use your application. You can do some actions or functional flow on your application, and the Fiddler will capture each request and response. And then you can use those requests and responses to create your test. Swagger is basically your developers are creating a documentation of telling that this is the request that they're expecting, and this is the response that will come out of it. And then it becomes really easy for you as a tester to put this in Tavern, really easy, what kind of validations you need to do. And then and a great interview question will be, what kind of validations do you do in API testing, right?
Okay. And one last question is, what are the common bugs or defects that we can find in API testing?
So it's the same defects and bugs that you generally find in any application, right? Apart from the UI. So it will mostly be based on functional flows, right? You can find your JSON schema mismatch. You can find a wrong request coming. You can find wrong status code coming. You can find that from security perspective that even without authentication, you're able to access some API, right? And then from another from security perspective that how many logins you are able to, multiple logins you are able to do with a single user on that API. And expiration of your refresh token code. So those kind of bugs really pop up. What kind of data is being sent, and if that data is huge, then your browser will crash. So those kind of common bugs that you will find. Because let's say you have an API path, but you sent in some input, which basically says in the backend, the implementation is select star from this table, right? And you are basically giving input the table name. And there is some table that has 1 million rows, right? Now your browser will not be able to fetch those and it will crash, right? And then you can do a lot of performance testing on the API server as well, right? Getting the responses, there should be a limitation or a benchmark on your performance saying that no response should exceed more than 10 seconds, right? Otherwise, that person on the UI or on your application will have to wait for every click, he has to wait more than 10 seconds, which is not ideal, right? So you can set your performance benchmarks on API testing as well. And then on the performance side itself, you can do concurrency testing by hitting that API with 60 users in 1 minute, right? So that will give you a server capacity. If your server crashes, it cannot handle more than 60 users at a single time, right? So those kind of tests and those kind of bugs really pop out when you go into API testing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No problems. Any other? Hey, Kader, you can, if no more questions, then I will ask Kader to jump in and talk about some organizational points, and then I will take the review of the code.
Hey, thanks, Sumit. Yeah, I'll keep it quick. So the first thing is with respect to the Eventbrite. If you go to the Testoper Eventbrite, you would actually see the program, like Selenium base for UI testing, which is going to start on August 5th, right? So that's most probably the next week. So, if you wanted to attend this program, you may have to register it here to start attending. I will send a reminder to all those who kind of registered in the test automation Codeathon to register in the Selenium base later. Base, we will start on robot framework, which will start on September 16th, and it will again run through 6 weeks. So Selenium followed by robot framework, followed by test project, which will start on October 28th and run for 6 weeks. So that will most probably end the year with, first week of December, it will finish. After that, we will probably end the year for the Codeathon, and we will January to continue learning other additional frameworks next year continuously, right? So that's the thought process. So please make sure you register them and you're able to attend these events. And even if you don't, sincerely prefer that you register, right? But you guys are already in the Microsoft Teams. So in the Microsoft Teams, you know that there is a place in the Testoper community here. If I click this, in the Testoper community, if you go to the general, and then if you go to quick links here, you will actually find the test automation and test ops link to join, right? So if you're already in the teams, you are a regular attendee, I prefer you register it there. But even if you don't register, you're already a member and you've already been continuously benefiting from the program. So you can directly come and join the program by clicking the link as you joined today, right? And the link is not going to change. It's going to be the same link for all the Wednesday sessions. Okay. And the next point is just want to make sure that bring in your friends who are really serious in learning, because see, if you actually look at this Eventbrite here, we had for the test automation entry more than 153 people, but we have consistently 25 people on an average attending this session, right? And I understand, like, some people some week they might have some personal work and they cannot attend and so on. But those who are attending continuously, and I do see the seriousness in you, continuously learn and keep your skills up to date. So if you find some of your friends really carving to do these kind of stuff, please make sure that you bring them in, because we want people who are really wanted to be successful, not just they learn here and get a job and then and then don't come back here, right? So we don't, because I know that people sometimes will get content, and when they get content, they don't do any more stuff. But those are the losers from my point of view, because if you wanted to successfully continue your journey and learn, you have to continuously learn, and we will provide that platform here to help you to do that. And again, I always say this, it's a non-profit, so I basically we all do this for our passion, right? And obviously we need some money to run this show. We are looking for some sponsors and we are looking for donors and stuff like that. So when we are ready, we will come back to you so you can help us with donation and referring your company for sponsorship and so on. But we are not ready there. And once we have that, we will come back to you for your help to assist us to get some funding so we can continue spending those money on the tools and other things that we provide you to kind of keep running the show. That's the first update. And then the second update is I'm going to give the floor to Nahendra. I'm going to stop the screen here, sharing the screen. Nahendra, if you can share your screen and let people know who all by default, because of the attendance, they are eligible for certificate of attendance for this particular course. And then what I have one personal request to you all is, please make sure, right? Last time we provided the certificates and we requested you to put it in the LinkedIn and promote yourself and also promote Testoper. Very few people really put that in LinkedIn, but this time I kindly request that every one of you who became eligible to get the certificates, which we will be sending it to you in a week by email, please put it in the LinkedIn and promote yourself and also promote Testoper, so many people like you can join and get benefit out of this program. So with that, I will hand over the floor to Nahendra. Nahendra, please go ahead. Hey, Nahendra, we cannot hear you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So, so the criteria, as Kader mentioned, was we have considered till last week we had 6 sessions on the TA for Tavern. So basically, out of that we have considered 65% for the attendance to be eligible for certificate of attendance. That means 4 sessions or more. So we have based on that filtered the people, and these are all the people who are eligible for the certificate of attendance. And there are some people which we don't have email and all. So if I'll go through them quickly. So I just want to confirm that the information we have here on this is correct, because based on this, you will be getting the certificate. So for the first person is Antarya.
So Nahendra, there's a couple of things, right? One thing is the name, and
Yes.
the second thing is an email address. So email
Correct.
address, we should be able to get it from our programs team, because most of the people who are attending are already in the Microsoft Teams, right?
Right.
So email address, you can get it from our programs team.
Okay.
What is important is to make sure the name is spelled correctly, because when we ask the designer to prepare the certificates, then we will have, if the name is wrong, then we'll have to go back and pay him to do that, right? So I just want to make
Right.
sure the name is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first person is Antarpia. Is she there in today's call? I don't think so. So do we have Artem today? It looks like no. These are correct. We know about Ashwak and Hetal and Joy, Nikki, Nadia, and Navina. So Navina, is this the you want? Is the G only is their last name? So this is the name, right? Okay. So
Navina, are you there?
maybe somebody dropped already, or okay.
I saw Navina was there. Okay, Navina
Yeah.
is
She's
the
dropped
other
from the
Navina.
call.
Okay.
Navina is
And yeah, we know about Navina and Paramveer. We already had from last time, and we have Roshan. I don't think this today. I haven't seen this. Roshan is not available, I believe.
So what you can probably do is you should have Nahendra in the Teams. You can go and check the members, right? With programs at testopera.com thing, and then you can fill up the name and email addresses from there, Nahendra. And then what you can do is cross-verify with the last certificate names, and some of them will be there.
Right.
But those who are not there, maybe you should reach out to them individually to make sure their data is correct before we send it out to the designer.
Today
what you can do is, I'm seeing here 19 people. How many are eligible for the certificate?
Yeah, these are 19 people.
19 people.
I
Right?
sent my full name in the chat. Can you please check? Yeah, that's.
Oh, thank you.
No, Sita is the beginning.
Okay.
And please note, this is a certificate of attendance, right? Not the certificate of completion, right?
Yeah.
Just want to make sure. Because certificate of completion requires some legal approval and also charging for the fees, and there's so many things are involved there, right? So we are doing a free service here. So
Nagendra, if you don't mind, can you please change there's a spelling mistake on number 13, Sandra Raj.
Okay.
SANDR. There's an R will come in before the A. SANDR. No, SANDRARAJ.
DARAJ.
Yeah, that's correct. Thanks.
This is the one, SANDRARAJ, right?
No.
Yes,
after
correct.
D, remove the R.
No, that's correct. This is what.
Sandra Raj? Okay.
Yeah, Sandra Raj. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go from the top to down, right? People are already looking at it. Please speak out, those whose name is here. If you type it in the test chat, probably it might be missed. Better you speak out, right? Just to be sure.
Yeah.
And in case of Sita Ratna, which is the first name and last name?
So Balinagu is the last name.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Let's look at the
I think
chat.
Nagendra, Sophia has posted her email ID in chat. Number 17.
Hey, Nagendra, you also attended this program, right? So why your name is not there?
No, mine and Shada's are below. I hide them because we know the details, right?
Nagendra, this is Sophia
Yeah.
here. My name is Sophia Marie Martal. There is no R in Martal. Marthal.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nagendra.
I think Sabya Sharma, you can get it from the Teams
Teams?
itself because she's part of Teams.
Okay.
Can I take over?
Okay, I think we are done. I think we have gone through most of the people. And if anything else, I'll get the email and then we'll reach out to the people and then we'll try to get the information.
Yeah, please. Thank you very much. Sumit, over to you. Yeah, we are top of the hour. So
Thank you. Yeah. So I think we are almost done with our Q&A session. Went for a little longer, but I guess everyone gained out of that Q&A session. From the project perspective, please upload all your projects on GitHub. The link I have sent already, and I will review and provide feedback by looking at them. If we get some time in the next session, I will go through one of the projects and review and provide feedback on screen. But otherwise, I'm going to provide feedback on the GitHub itself. And then our Teams chat, I will one-on-one, I will provide that feedback, but please upload that on the GitHub projects. From the project standpoint, I'll take a couple more minutes. I'll talk about the project when I created the Tavern framework, what project I worked on, and what I made, right? So has anyone heard of the platform called QuestTrade? Yeah, it's a trading platform, right? So I already had QuestTrade and registered to it, and I have some money that I was putting in and using it for trading. So the project that I created was QuestTrade. Okay. So the project that I created was basically Quested had an API, right? So I used that API, and that API provided me with a lot of details about my account, about a specific trading symbol with the candlesticks or the charts based on it, their minute, 1 minute, 2 minute, and 5 minute pricing.
Still here. Sorry to disturb you. Are you sharing your screen because we don't see any screen? What you talking?
No, I'm not sharing any screen. I'm just telling you my experience
Okay.
on the project that I created, right? When I was doing Tavern. So what I did was I tried to test those APIs. I tried hitting my account with my details, with my portfolio and other symbols that are on the market. Then I realized there were a lot of bugs on their API, and I contacted them and I told them that there are a couple of bugs, and they identified it. So you can use similar project to this where there is a real use case where you can build. What I tried to do was to test my orders, inputs, and pricing, and then I was also using out of Tavern. I was using it to create some pattern where I can take advantage of uh, the trade cycle to gain some money. I had to leave that project because I lost $400 on it. But that's the project that you can really use. One of the project that I worked on when I was working on Tavern. That was on or for the personal side. So you can think about some of those kind of projects which will help you as well, and it will help. It will make your project more interesting, right? And it will have a real use case. So think on those terms if you're thinking on creating a project on the API. That's it from my side then. Any other question that you guys have?
Sumit, those kind of projects, actually, if you wanted to donate it to the community, we have a Testoper projects teams, right? So whatever you have done, you can probably upload there with the name, and if someone is interested, they can, collaborate with you to continue developing that, which could be useful for you and everyone in the community to reuse them and reuse that knowledge in their day-to-day job or whatever, right?
Right. I can, but it needs a lot of work to take my personal information out of that project and then create something that is usable for the community. Right now, it's basically geared towards. I haven't put too much effort to make it as a community based, and it's more from the personal perspective.
Okay. No worries. Just a thought.
Because,
Okay.
yeah, it's basically creating charting based on my information that I have in the Questrade account, right? So I have to do a little bit of work to make it community ready.
Awesome. No issues. Perfect. And likewise, team, you guys also, if you have some in projects and stuff like that, we have a projects channel, and you can start your own project, and you wanted to ask your friends to come and contribute, learn, and build the project for your company, or for yourself. Anything, we are happy to provide you the platform to engage you on that activity. Just remember that. I know that Nevena does lots of projects, so she should be doing that projects in our Testoper Teams channel, so the others can benefit Nevena. All right. Anything else, Sumit?
No, that's it. That's it from my side. All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending the tavern. We will regroup together on Selenium base. That's a very good framework as well for a UI testing. And it has a lot of rich features on top of Selenium. So I'll talk about it in our next session.
Perfect. Awesome, guys. You guys have a great week ahead, and I will see you some of you in the Saturday session, and rest of you all together in our next session on Wednesday. Remember to please promote and invite friends, and talk about Testoper to your company, colleagues, and wherever that you can. That would be the best thing that you would do for us in return to all the help that we are putting together to improve your career success. Have a good evening. Take care, and talk to you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Bye.